we couldn't do some of the things that we do for the group without their help. And with that, we have two sponsors for today's general membership meeting, and that is Achieva Bank and Lakewood Ranch Commercial. And I think we're going to play the Lakewood Ranch commercial informational video.
Hey guys, this is Tom Johnson with Lakewood Ranch Commercial. We are proud sponsors of CREA. And I just want to give you guys a brief update on what's going on in Lakewood Ranch from the real estate side of things. On the residential side, we're actually 3% year over year on new home sales, which is super exciting for us. And that's through August, well, through July of 2020, but that's our most recent report. And I want to give you guys another update on Waterside Place, which is where I'm at right now. Construction right now is really coming along out here. We have a few amazing tenants, and we're currently looking for more amazing tenants that could be a great fit for you or any of your clients. We're actively seeking restaurant users, office users, and boutique retailers. We think that this is just going to be an incredible spot out here. If you have anybody that's interested, please reach out to me. You can email me at tom.johnson@lwrcommercial.com, and I'd be happy to set up a site tour and get some more information over to you and your clients. Hey, I hope you guys enjoy the webinar today, and I'll look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you to Lakewood Ranch Commercial. And then we've also have a co-sponsor for this event in Achieva Credit Union, Banking for Good.
I mean, I love animals. I love everything about animals. What I really like too is how my clients feel about their animals, and I respect that. Those are their children in many ways. There's their family member. I love what I do. I get up every day and I look forward to going to work. I was in a building that they owed more than I could get. And so I was stuck. I was going to probably lose my business because I couldn't stay there anymore. And I knew I needed a building. I had already had my eye on this location for over a year to a year and a half, but I couldn't get a loan. And I had great credit, I had everything, but nobody was loaning. And it was like, no. I called Achieva Credit Union and they said, you're a good candidate. We'd like to look into giving you a loan. And it just worked out. It was just one thing after another. It was better and better and better. And then all of a sudden the loan happened and we were able to close on this building. Achieva Credit Union treated me like I was a human being, not just another number. So after we received our business loan with Achieva Credit Union, then we started to go, maybe we should open up a checking account over there for the business. So we opened up our business checking account and savings account. And then I was like, well, they're so good and they're right there and they know me. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a personal checking account and savings account. And that worked so well. I said, hey, let's buy a car and we'll get an auto loan through Achieva Credit Union. So now it's sort of everything is over there. My good reason is friendly, caring people.
Thank you to both Achieva Credit Union and Lakewood Ranch Commercial. Thanks, Tom and Sherry, who are both online right now. We appreciate what you guys have helped support here with CREA this year. Tiffany, next slide.
Here's no more slides.
Okay. All right, well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to William then, and he's going to introduce our two speakers with Manatee County, who we are very grateful. Thank you for spending your time with us today, and we all look forward to gaining some knowledge and information today.
All right, thank you, Joe. We've got the Manatee County Dream Team here today. We've got Mindy Carver and Tracy Trahan. Tracy Trahan is a senior planner with Manatee County Government Building and Development Services. During her 5 years with Manatee County, Tracy has worked on over 230 commercial and residential projects and developments, and serves as a subject matter expert on redevelopment projects along the urban corridors. Prior to relocating to Manatee County in 2015, she worked as a project manager and construction supervisor for a telecommunications company in New Hampshire and Maine for over a decade. Tracy enjoys traveling, running, and spending time with her family. And her partner, Mindy Carver, is a business systems support analyst who works with Manatee County Building Department. She develops, builds, tests, and implements databases and tools for the Excella software. Hope I pronounced that right, guys. She maintains current knowledge of relevant technologies and advises on new developments. She has worked with Manatee County for 8 years and served in multiple positions with the permitting department, such as permit tech, then permitting supervisor, and has obtained permitting supervisor ICC certification. Her career consists of over 20 years in the construction industry throughout Manatee and Sarasota counties, and she's been a lifelong resident of Minnesota and Sarasota counties and enjoys all that Florida has to offer. And with that, I'll turn it over to our speakers. Keep in mind that if any of you do want the PowerPoint presentation that we're doing today, Tiffany Long from the association will have it, and you can get it from her by simply emailing her. Okay, thank you guys. Take it away.
Hey, good morning. Awesome, everybody. This is Tracy Trahan. Mindy and I are working off the same microphone, so if you see it light up with Mindy, it might be me. So again, Tracy Trahan with Manatee County. Several years ago, Mindy and I were tasked to do a presentation for a group of realtors on planning and zoning. And when we were tasked with that, we started to collaborate, and a few things came to mind. First, we thought, what is it that realtors want to know? How can we show them all of the great resources we have available? And how can we help them retain this information for future use? That's when we created, and I'm just going to go ahead and start presenting. Hopefully it will work. That's when we created this Realtor's Guide to Planning and Zoning. And although it's evolved over time, much of the information has remained the same. Are you guys able to see that? No, you're not. Okay, bear with me for 1 second. I'm a little bit new to this Google. I'm not getting it. Oh, share it. Okay, there we go. This is the guide. I think it's getting ready to load right here. Okay. So I think that you guys have been provided with this guide already. If not, Tiffany or Joe may be able to get it to you after. So anyways, so this is the guide that we created. And although it's evolved over time, a lot of the information has remained the same. Mindy and I will be helping, or we will be providing you with a live demonstration on how to access many of the resources that you have available. And it's also the same information that we use every day. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on the handout here. So on the handout, you can see that there are many, sorry. Okay, on the handout here, you can either, this is a guide that you can either print out as a double-sided quick reference guide, or it can be used electronically. When you hover over many of the items in bold, you'll see that there are lots of hyperlinks embedded into this guide. You'll find things like GIS mapping, land development code, and comprehensive plan. You also find over on the right-hand side more specific links to things like researching fences and walls, home occupation, some of the commonly asked questions, standards for specific use, things of that nature. And then if we scroll to the second page, you'll find lots of the acronyms that are commonly used in the industry. And then at the bottom, you'll see lots of quick links to many of the resources that we use: property appraisers, clerk of the court, school district, tax collectors, and so on. So there are certainly many resources available to you other than what we're going to go over today, but these are the ones that we use the most and the ones that we are asked about the most. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Mindy, and she's going to go over how to use our GIS mapping. Hello, everyone. So I am going to start off by sharing the same document that Tracy had, because I will go over the quick links. Can you see it? So you can obviously just click right here onto GIS map. No, I can't. Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me try to share this really quick. Do I have to maybe stop? Yep, you have to stop for something. There we go. Bear with us.
While they're pulling that up, I just wanted to inform everybody that if you got the calendar invite inviting you to this Google Meets, that document that they're using is uploaded. It's in that. So you can download directly from the calendar invite that you received from Tiffany. And this document is on it.
Okay, so like Tracy said, you can just click right here on the GIS mapping if you have it as an electronic document, and that will take you directly to our GIS map. And also this can be accessed from our mymanatee.org website. That is on, you just go right to mymanatee.org, you'll see on the left-hand side, it says GIS, and you'll be able to click right to it, and it'll go right to this mapping system. So I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar with this. I'm just going to go over a high level use out of this. So right now we're just plainly in our GIS map here, and there's lots of settings here, and I'm going to go to land development. That is the most commonly used one, and that will give you a lot of the information that you have here on this left-hand side, and we'll go over a high level of these aspects on what they do. So you'll start in the the tools. You can access it either by parcel, address, owner, and whatnot. So I'm going to start by the parcel because I do have a parcel. And what I will do is just type in the parcel number here, and I'll go over in just a few minutes on how to locate a property if you do not have the parcel nor the address or owner name. You can look that way. So I'm going to start with this parcel here and type it in. And you hit search, and that will bring you to all the information about this property here. It'll give you the owner name, obviously NCT and SCT is in Manatee County's district, so in unincorporated Manatee County. And then if it has acronyms of PL, that's the city of Palmetto, BR is the city of Bradenton, and then you have Longboat Key and Holmes Beach and so forth. So if it says NCT, SCT, that is in Manatee County, and that we handle all the aspects of that. Like I said, you can tell if something is in flood here, and then so on, address and whatnot. So you have this button here, the links, and this will take you directly to the property appraiser's website if you click on that, and it'll give you the information that way. Obviously, that will take you to Google Maps. The house with the magnifying glass here, this is something newly that we did. This will show you permitting on this property, and you can see that it has an issue date of 4/4/18, and this is the permit number here, the CMP. And then you can also click for access, and I will show you this quickly. Can see, okay. This is our Acela system here. It just gives a high-level overview. You have to log in, and it's not going to give you complete information, as you will have to be a contact on this record or the licensed professional or whatnot. It just gives you basic record info, and you can do that. I'm going to go back to GIS and show you how to search for a property if you do not have the address or personal information. So right here under search by location, you can look by parcels and whatnot through there. And then you'll just click this dot here, and you can take it and hover over any of these properties. So here obviously it brought up that information on this property. Does this make sense to everyone? Sounding good? Okay. All right, so now we're gonna go over here to the data of it, and you have all these lovely things you can click on that will give you some of the information. Obviously, if you wanna know a specific address or whatnot, you can click on this address label and it'll give the address labels over it. On here, 1625. You can click on any one of these and it will give you the information of, you know, this is CFW Fabricators, obviously Westfall. You can go through some of that. You have some more information here, comp planning, and then it gives you the idea, like this is gray, so it will give you information on this side here. If you just scroll down, you can see that. Zoning, it will tell you this is a LM, which in our handout has the acronym for that, which stands for light manufacturing. The handout that we have will go through what these meanings are here. If you're clicking on this tab here, those questions come up. Obviously, some of these you don't really need to know for real estate wise, but FEMA, the flood is here, so it'll tell you accordingly. I'll scroll out so you can kind of see the little flood areas. So obviously this property is not in a flood zone, so we'll go away with that. If you need to know a fire district, that's there. This will give you certificate of occupancies, but you can obviously look that up, like one right here is showing you. And then active building permits, little triangles will pop up with that information as well. And you can click into that. I know a lot ask about the water. So we'll go down here. We have potable water, reclaimed water, and sewer. So I'll start with sewer. If you are clicking here, you obviously see where the sewer lines are and where the sewer mains are. You can click in the reclaimed water, which this probably would not have it. We'll show you that, but potable water as well. And you'll see the lines there. So you can see where the water lines are going to. And that mark there is obviously the fire hydrant. So this is kind of a high level overview of lots of other things within GIS that are able to be seen. You can always click around. Obviously this section here will take you all the way back 2003 looking at this property. So there's lots of other things in here you'll be able to look at. Even in the settings under this part, you can change to what you want to look at, but like I said, we mainly use land development. Even in our tools section here, you can look at different things, and I will have Tracy show you a little bit more on the aspect of that to look at the planning part of a piece of property. So far, that is all I have for the GIS part of it. If anybody has any questions, we either want to ask now or do we want to wait till the end of it?
Probably wait till the end.
Okay, we can wait till the end when we're both done. And you're more than welcome to ask questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Tracy as she is the subject matter expert on the planning portion of this. Okay, so we're just going to, I'm just going to load my stuff back here. Okay, so we're going to go back to that guide again, and I prepared two examples for you guys to research. So the first one's going to be for standard zoning district, how to research property that's within a standard zoning district, and then also to research property that's in a planned development. So again, the first thing that I do, if somebody were to call me or to ask questions about this, first thing I would do is go to GIS mapping, because the first thing we want to figure out is what the zoning district is. So again, like Mindy said, There's several different ways that you can access the site, the property. You can search by, she showed you how to search by the parcel, and so I'm going to show you how to search by the address. So this is 20th Street East. This is actually one of the properties that she was just showing you. So I'll zoom out just a little bit here. It's located in the North Manatee Industrial Park. And I could tell that by looking at the subdivision name over on the right-hand side. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is under tools, first thing under data is we're going to turn on the parcel layer and the zoning layer. And just for record, the parcel lines are approximate. They're not exact. Sometimes you'll see the parcel lines going right down the middle of a building. It's probably off a little bit, so it's just a guide. So as I do this, I like to just maybe on a scrap piece of paper, jot down some of this information. So like Mindy said, this is in a light manufacturing zoning district. So then I would turn that layer off, and then I'd turn on comprehensive planning. And that's going to show us our future land use category. So IL, industrial light. I turn that off, and I just there's lots of things I like to look at from a planning perspective. So I look at to see if it's in the entranceway. And this property is not, but if we zoom out quite a bit here, you'll start to see, sometimes things take a little while, but along I-75, you'll see that there'll be some highlights that eventually appear here. So with it being a live demonstration, sometimes things lag a little bit. So there we go. That's our entranceway. But these are all things I like to check because they have different rules associated with them. And we'll go over a little bit more about that in the land development code. And then I just keep kind of going down the list. Let's see. Very small on my screen. Let me see if I can zoom in just there we go. Okay, well, I'll just mention a few of the other ones. One would be the urban corridor. There we go. Here it is. It's really tiny on my screen today. I'm not sure what I've done, but this is not located along the urban corridor. If it was, it would highlight. Again, there's different regulations that go along with that. There's also an overlay tab. Lots of different overlays and again different rules, and you want to make sure that you research the rules associated with each one of these things that we're clicking on. Okay, so now that we've collected some information, we know that the property is a light manufacturing zoning district. Let's start with researching some of that information. So again, I'm going to go back over to the guide that we provided, and some of the information that we're going to want to look at is let's research, what is that zoning district? What does it mean? What are the permitted uses? Maybe what are the setbacks, things of that nature. So the first thing we're going to do is in chapter 4 is where it's really going to tell us a lot about the zoning district. So I just clicked on that chapter 4 and it brings us over to Muni code, which is contains our land development code, comprehensive plan, and one other code of ordinances. There we go. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to scroll down. More information in this document than you're ever going to want to look at, but we're going to scroll down to let's see. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit. I think it's this one. There we go. Okay. How do we get rid of that? Okay, there we go. Oh boy. Bear with me. This is the fun part about live demonstrations. Sometimes things go a little haywire, but that's how it really works. Okay, I think we have it back. So under chapter 4, you'll see on the screen under light manufacturing, it tells you a little bit about these different zoning districts. And they're all here, all for standard zoning districts. And I'm just going to keep scrolling. So some of the other information that we would want to look up is about the permitted uses. So down here in table 4-3, it talks about non-residential zoning districts. And each one of these is a column of a different zoning district. And then over on the left-hand side, you'll see a list of uses. And then you'll see code sections right here. And these talk about specific use criteria. for each of the uses. So with that being said, obviously we can't list every use that was ever thought of. So we work in collaboration with this table and Chapter 2 definitions. I'm not going to take you to definitions, but sometimes if you can't find the use listed in the table, you may want to go to definitions and see if you can find something similar to what you're looking for, or you may want to find something if you want to know specifically what the use means in Manatee County. You would look that up in the definitions, and I'll give you more information. So for our light manufacturing example, we're going to look at a warehouse. We're gonna pretend that we have somebody interested in the property. They want to put a warehouse on the site, and we want to just make sure that that's a permitted use before they purchase the property. So we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. These are you'll be able to see they have little table headings. I just happen to know that our warehouse is all the way at the bottom. So here we go. So you have to kind of hold your arrow in place to make sure you're in the right column. That's one thing hopefully we'll fix in the future. We'll have that table heading stay up there, but for now. So we can see that it is a permitted use in the light manufacturing zoning district, but I do see a code section right here that means that there is some specific use criteria associated with this type of use. So you can just click right on that. And wait just a minute and it will take us there. There we go. I'll scroll up just a little bit right here under warehouse. So it says any warehouse located adjacent to single-family residentially zoned property shall provide a solid opaque fence along the property perimeter adjacent to said residential property. So that's something that's important that you'd want to make sure that your clients are aware if they're doing this. You know, that's a pretty simple requirement. Some of them are a little bit more intense. Some of them may have a greater setback requirement. One that comes to mind is if somebody wants to do like a dog kennel, there's a additional setback beyond the standard one that's required. So it just really depends. Mini warehouse right now is a really popular use. A lot of people are building those mini warehouses. That's different than just the warehouse, and that has some specific use criteria regarding fencing, setbacks, things of that nature. So the specific use criteria in Chapter 5, which is where we are right now, is a very, very important section for commercial use to be familiar with. So we're going to go back up to Chapter 4 because there's just a couple more things that I want to show you guys. So we're going to look at bulk and dimensional regulations. Just click right here, give it a minute. Take us exactly where we wanted. Okay. So now we're just going to scroll down. Again, there's more information in here than you probably ever want to read, but it's lots of good information. We're just going to, I know for this district, we're going to want to look at table 4-9. But you can see each one of these tables talks about different zoning districts. We try to group them together. So we're almost there. That's some of the commercial ones right there in 4-8. So here we go, light manufacturing, LM zoning district. So then just a few things to be familiar with for non-residential. The floor area ratio is 0.75. Then like open space requirements, 15%. Minimum lot sizes to make sure that the lot can be built on. That's an important one. What the minimum width of the lot has to be. And then some information regarding setbacks from water, height require, maximum height information. Those are just a few things that I wanted to go over regarding standard zoning district. Now I'm going to go back to our GIS mapping and give you an example of how to research a plan development. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to pretend like we don't know the address or the parcel number, so we're just going to scroll and find this. The example that we're going to use for this plan development is Walmart located on State Road 64. So I'm going to scroll in right here. Give it a second, give the GIS a second to load. I'm going to click on the zoning layer. There's so much information contained within these systems that sometimes they take a little while to load, but it's usually worth the wait. We'll just give it a minute here. There we go. We can see when that zoning came on, it's a plan development commercial, and these are plan developments are very unique. And if you haven't worked with them before, the way that I like to describe them to people is Even though there are lots of PDC properties out there, if I zoomed out on this map, you'd see all kinds of properties in the same red color. Each one of these kind of has its own rules associated with it. It's like its own little mini zoning district. So in order to know what the rules are for this particular plan development commercial, I'm going to show you how to access some of that information. So if we go back over to tools, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to use the identify label. So really what this identify label is going to be doing, it's actually going to be looking at this zoning district and not necessarily at this property, because sometimes the plan development may span over several properties or sometimes, you know, 20 or 30 properties for one plan development. So then we're going to click this little blue dot to identify. And then over here, I'm going to click on this bar that says zoning. And it's going to give me the ordinance number, which this is how you find out all of the information associated with this plan development. And as you can see, as it kind of panned out here, there are a couple of parcels associated with this same plan development. So this is the ordinance that we're going to look at. So I'm going to click back over to the guide, and there's two places that you can click. So one of them is down here at the bottom. It says manateeclerk.com. And then also on the second page, there's a link for it here as well. So we're just going to go ahead and click the Manatee Clerk page. You want to make a reference of that PDC number, because that's how we're going to find the information. Then we're going to click on Board Records. And then in this search box is where we're going to type it. So it was PDC, PDC 02-17. And click search. And this isn't always going to work, but it works a lot of the time with stuff that's been approved. And that's kind of like a lot of our resources. You'll notice not everything works all of the time. We come up with, you know, new ways to improve the system, but sometimes it doesn't go back to every plan development that was ever done. So but it is a great resource if it works for you. So right here, you're going to look through, you'll see like all kinds of hits on that number that we put in, but you're going to look for something that says BC. That references the Board of County Commissioners. So we're just going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll see it loading down here. I actually clicked on it already once, so it already loaded, but we'll just click on it again. Now this file that opens up contains 163 pages, all related to this plan development. And you're going to want to know a few key things so that you don't spend hours here researching this, or maybe you want to, I don't know. But at the beginning is always the ordinance, and that's always this box right here, even though because it's all in capital letters, you tend to want to not read it and scroll past it, but it contains probably the most important information for this property. So right here, quickly, I can see approval for a preliminary site plan to allow 226,053 square feet of retail use. So that's pretty important. Then I would keep going to read through here, and some of the things that I would look at, this will tell you some of the history of the property, but something else I would look at are the stipulations. It will tell you, you know, this one, it says, you know, talks about tractor trailer trucks involved in deliveries and what the times are. You know, it talks about roof mounted HVAC equipment. This is often where it will talk about, you know, anything that was agreed upon during the hearing to get this property approved will be stipulated here. You know, it's oftentimes the county negotiates stuff with the developer to make sure that it's compatible with the surrounding properties, and that's all in here. Lots and lots of information. So as you scroll through, I'm not going to take too much time going through this, but if we kind of jump down, you'll find in here there is a staff report that talks in more detail. It will give you, you know, setback information, you know, any real specifics related to the site. There's sometimes this one looks like it contains maybe lots of the review documents. We don't really do that anymore. It will have less. It'll be more to the point. This is an older one. Somewhere you'll eventually find a site plan with a lot of, here's some of the site plan information. I'll show you, like this one specifically, it's on the slide, but it specifically calls out a Walmart. It shows you approximately, you know, what the plan is going to look like. This again is the preliminary site plan. Final site plan is something different that you'd have to access through our records management. But this shows you, you know, initially kind of what the site was approved for, what was included in the property. And then a lot about the regulations. So let's see. Let me just look at my notes and see what else I wanted to show you guys. Something else. Let's go back over to the guide associated with it. Something. Oh, one other thing. It's not in this one, but something that I did want to point out to you guys is for a lot of the newer plan developments, you'll see that we have, if a plan development does not specify a use is permitted, then it's not permitted. So I've had some projects recently. One was for a motorcycle shop, and the site was originally approved. It was a plan development, and it had approval for a furniture store. So when the applicant went to convert, they started to do their building permits, things of that nature. We realized that they really don't have approval to make it a motorcycle shop. So they had to actually go back to the board to add that level of use to the property. I think we ended up rezoning the property to a standard zoning district, which would allow any of those uses in that schedule of uses I showed you in the land development code. But for plan developments, they have to be specified uses that are allowed. So something that we've started doing, over the last decade is we include a schedule of uses, which looks similar to the one that you find in the land development code, but between the county and the applicant, we negotiate which ones, even though it's something that would be permitted within like a plan development commercial, we say that it's not really appropriate for that area, or the applicant says, based on, we're building in Lakewood Ranch and we don't ever want a, maybe a large animal hospital in Lakewood Ranch, in downtown Lakewood Ranch. So even though that's a permitted use within this type of plan development, we don't want that here. So they would strike through that and they would say that's not allowed in this plan development. And that goes back and forth. Usually a lot of the uses are stricken out, but the ones that ones that they want there remain. So just those are some things, because if you were to look at the land development code, let's see if I can click back over here under those schedule of uses. There is in fact a table for plan development. It looks just like this one. It's I think 4-10. It's down here a little bit. I'll just show you this one so we don't have to keep scrolling. But it looks similar to this. And if you were to look at like the PDC, you'd see lots of things say that they're permitted. But again, they have to be approved for that specific plan development. So you can't just use this chart for plan developments and assume because it says it's a permitted use that it's permitted within that plan development. Every plan development is like its little mini owned zoning district. One other thing that I just recently came across on our website, and I think I added a quick link onto this guide. Let's see, did I? Maybe I didn't. Okay, planning maps. Let's go here. I think this is it. So something that was just recently added, like I think it was last month, are these approved rezones from 2002 to present. So if I just click on one of these, let's click South County. Hopefully it loads quickly for us. You know what?
Is South County everything south of the river?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So they have it, the way that we have it broken down back here is we have North County, South County, and East County. So some of the stuff I think out in Lakewood Ranch is really considered East County. So it's, you kind of maybe just have to open them and look to kind of see what you're looking for. They probably overlap some. You'll see like on this one, it overlaps. You can see some in North County, and you can see East County, but it primarily focuses on South County. So if we just scroll in here a little bit, and these are sometimes easier to access if you save it as a PDF first, but we'll just kind of work with what we got on the screen. You can zoom in quite a ways, and it tells you, this is so great. This is brand new, and for staff, this is going to be a huge help, and also for you guys, because even though I showed you that trick to identify on the parcel to be able to look at what that plan development number is, it doesn't always work, and they're not always there. We're constantly updating the system to add that information, but it's not always there. So this is another way to find that same information. See, if you look, it's probably hard to see on your screen here, but I'm kind of hovering over it. This gives you like this plan development number. So you'll see this PDMU zoning, and here's the number. So you can just kind of scroll around here, and here they all are. So this is like such a great tool, because sometimes the hardest part in researching these plan developments is figuring out the zoning approval and the ordinance number to even begin to research that. And I'm going to show you one other thing on the clerk of the court's website. So if that link does not work, I have some quick links here. So we're just going to cheat a little bit. So if you type in the information right here and it doesn't give you the hits that you're looking for, something else that I use all of the time is right here is zoning approvals. And then over here, it gives you like PDCs, PDEZs, so on and so forth. So we're just going to click PDC. And we'll use that same example that we looked at before. So it was, or you know, we'll just use any example because it doesn't really matter. And you click on any one of these. You can also tell, if we kind of scroll through, you'll see some of them like this PDC 12-15. Then you'll see that there's an R. That means it was a revision to the original approval. So you want to look for either the R, and then sometimes you'll see, let's keep scrolling. You'll see that there's numbers associated with it, like R4, R5. So that's been revised, you know, 5 times. I've seen some like 12. So you want to make sure that you're clicking on the most recent one. So this is just going to give you the zoning approval. It's not as a complete package as the other one I showed you. That's why I showed you that one first, because that's my new favorite tool. But if you can't find it, this is also a really good option. Again, it gives you some information, you know, up at the top about what was approved. It sometimes specifies a lot of the old plan developments were very specific and only allowing one use. We've tried to get away from that to allow more uses so that everything doesn't have to go back to the board to change uses with the plan developments. But this is where you find that information. And again, it's set up, they've been set up the same for probably as long as we've been doing zoning. And it talks about, here we go again, HVAC equipment, you know, and then the environmental, there's some information. So I think that's most of what I wanted to go over. If you guys want to ask any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
There were some here. Sometimes in an ordinance number.
I don't think they can see it here.
Yeah, I was just showing you. I do see there's some questions that were typed in the comment section. Like sometimes in the ordinance number is not indicated on GIS in that event. Is there another way to find the PD information if you don't know the specific date of the BOCC approval?
So that would be with that zoning map that I showed you. And again, there was, let me go back to share my.
That definitely answered it.
So if we go back to that guide again, so what I did was right down here. So it talks about zoning ordinance information and rezone maps. So it gives you a quick link right here to planning maps. And there, if we click that again, I'm gonna have a gazillion windows open, but there is so much information. That's what I talk about. Like, you know, if you've explored our website at all, there's more information than you probably are ever going to want. But depending on what you're working on, you know, if you're working up at the port in Port Manatee, you know, there's information about that. If you're working, you know, with somebody that wants to start a community development district, there's information on that. You know, urban corridors, we have a whole new section. I say new, but it's probably a couple years old, about the urban corridors. We offer all kinds of incentives for people that develop along the urban corridor. We offer greater density. We offer, you know, a greater floor area ratio. We offer, you know, all kinds of different things if you do mixed use projects. There's a whole section in the code in Chapter 9 that talks specifically about the urban corridors. So again, tons and tons of information here. Let's see, do you see any?
I see someone ask, can we pull up the new Costco site of 64? Is there any specific information you'd like to know from that site? Bruce?
You know, I was just looking to see what, you know, so to see how it showed what the development looked like in from this aspect.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I think this is the site, if my memory serves me correctly.
I think so.
Okay, so let's see if this works. And again, like I said, I made sure that my examples were going to work for you, but sometimes it gives us the information. This one does not have the number. So what I would do is I would go over to that, let's see, planning map somewhere. This is the problem. I end up with too many things open and I can't find what I'm looking for. That was South County. And it's going to be, sometimes it's going to be, especially with the plan developments, stuff happens really quick, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get all of the systems updated accordingly. So sometimes you may have to call in. You may have to call and ask the questions because you just can't find what you're looking for on the website. So we certainly welcome that too. This will just help you do a lot more of your own research. And so that way we can be available for when you can't find the information. And let's see. So it looks like it's part of a much larger, that's something separate. So I don't see that it's been updated yet on here with the ordinance number. So this would be a situation where you would likely have to call and get that information from staff. But then once you get that number, then you can do some of those tricks that we talked about. You can access, through the clerk of the court's website, things of that nature. All right, what else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions? That's all that I see on the comment board. Ask away.
Can I share my cell phone number? No. So you can call, you can certainly call. We have contact information on here for our reviewer on call staff. We staff that all the time with somebody to answer your calls. If you can't get through to somebody, you have to leave a message. I think they try to call you back within 24 hours. That's, my recommendation is to contact this number. I work on actually reviewing these types of projects. So once you sell the property and then somebody decides to develop it, that's when I get involved as the case manager and zoning reviewer. But certainly if you can't get the information that you need, feel free to reach out to me. You have my name now.
Does anyone else have some questions as far as how to use the GIS mapping system and or any of the other tools that they've discussed with us today? Please feel free to either ask verbally or type it into the chat window.
So I do have a question, Matt Fensky. So if you're on the GIS map with the zoning layer on, is it possible to sort? For example, if I want to see only the properties that are zoned general commercial, can I turn off all the other zoning categories?
So you can't turn off zoning categories, unfortunately. So hopefully you can see it on my screen right now. So I have on the zoning layer on GIS map, and you'll see all the different colors right here. So I have an idea what you're looking for because you're probably trying to find a client, piece of property. Right. So probably the best way to do that is really just to click on it, and it's all color coded, so it makes it a little bit easier to look at. So that you can kind of, if you have an idea of where you want. So if I wanted to do something, maybe over towards the Soto Mall, and general commercial is really the ideal zoning district for the use that my client wants. You can kind of go about it that way. That's probably the easiest way.
I can take note of that because in my department, I have my GIS people and I will check in and see if maybe that is an option or whatnot. Because I do understand that question does come up a lot. So we can look into that.
And something else that I just thought of when we were kind of panning out here is Mindy had told you about the different codes to tell if something is located in the city or if it's in Manatee County. So you can see, kind of along the Manatee River right here, there's a lot of stuff in gray. And if I kind of scroll in, it says city right there. So if you want the easiest way to tell if a property is in Manatee County or if it's located within one of the city's jurisdictions, just turn on the zoning layer. And if it has a zoning district associated with it, like this A1 property or this PD property down here, you'll know it's located in Manatee County and it's under our jurisdiction. If it says it's in the city, you can usually pretty easily tell which city it's in.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mindy, as you're looking at that and seeing if there was a way that you could search via zoning district that as a tool for real estate and realtors in particular, what would also be helpful, and this may be even another step too far, but a lot of times we're looking for things that are either vacant lots and or have buildings of negligible value, and cross-referencing or being able to like type in criteria of both the zoning and the assessed value of the physical structure or something like that would be a very powerful tool that would enable us to try to find opportunities for businesses to take advantage of.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I can propose it to my GIS team. I'm not that knowledgeable on the behind the scenes of it, but we can always propose it and see what they're capable of doing. So.
And something else, Joe, that I don't know if you've worked with them or not, but we have a department. It's redevelopment of economic opportunity. It's separate from land development, building and development services, which is where Mindy and I work. But it is a department that works with people that are looking either for a redevelopment property or sometimes the vacant land, especially within our encouragement zones, which is like South County, kind of actually what's on the map right now. So they are very familiar with a lot of this property, and they're usually looking to help pair, investors or people looking to develop with people looking to sell property in these areas. And they offer, if you develop like within our urban corridors, they have different things that they can offer. They can offer, sometimes reduced fees, to develop, especially affordable housing. If you guys ever work with anybody that's looking to develop affordable housing projects, I'm sure Manatee County is in desperate need of affordable housing. So we have lots of incentives. They also kind of oversee the project from a high level and help you move it through the process once it comes time to develop the property. They can offer some expedited reviews, things of that nature as well. So that's a good resource. It's the redevelopment of economic opportunity, and there's some information available on our website for their contact information.
Can you click on the overlay that shows those zones that you were just speaking about and that fall within that office for us?
Yeah, so one of them is right here, the urban corridor. And you can really, I would say, if you have something very specific and a specific type of property that you're looking for, even just to develop a working relationship with them, I wouldn't hesitate, to reach out to them from time to time and just let them know the type of clients that you have and the type of property you're looking for. But right here, so if I pan out a ways, it takes a little while sometimes to load, but yeah, there we go. I know it's always bigger than what I think it's going to be. So this like pink cross-hatched area, this is our urban service area. And then you can see, it's probably hard to see on the screen, but when you're looking at it more zoomed in, there's some blue lines. That's our urban corridor. And that's probably one of my favorite areas to work on, because it's an area that needs a lot of work. It's, when investors come in and are looking for properties, that, that's a great area to look at. And like I said, Chapter 9 in our land development code, I think it's 902 off the top of my head, talks about the urban corridor, and it talks about the increased densities and intensities that people can get. So like, for example, if it's a general commercial property along the urban corridor and they develop using the urban corridor standards, they can get a floor area ratio right out of the gate of 1, which is huge. And then if they do a couple of things, like maybe if they're developing and they put a park on the site, some type of open space on the site, there's specific criteria within the land development code, but then sometimes they can even get a bonus and go up to like a floor area ratio of 2. So if you're looking for somebody that wants to put a lot of building on a small property, there's some really good opportunity along the urban corridors to do stuff like that. We've had a couple of, I don't know if you've seen them if you've driven the area, we've had a couple of U-Hauls that have recently come in that I've worked with. One of them, I think is 14th Street, that's recently developed, and they met the urban corridor standards. It also gives them the opportunity to put the buildings a little bit closer to the street. The setback, the setbacks are reduced, things of that nature. So.
Thank you. SM 1951 has asked a question: where to find future residential and commercial plans that are already approved? I don't know if you can clarify that question a little bit more for them as to what you're specifically looking for.
Sure. Yeah, and I could probably even answer it based on what's there. So one resource would be how I showed you guys to access stuff through the clerk of the court's website. If you're able to, let me see, I have a gazillion things open right here, so I'm just going to click on fresh one. So again, under board records, if it's a plan development, you can put the information right in here and it pulls up a lot of good information for you. If it's not a plan development, if it's a standard zoning district, or if this doesn't give you the results that you're looking for, you'll likely have to contact records management, and their contact information is available on our website. And just let them know what you're looking for, and then they'll help you access the files. I'm not sure if they can email them. I'm thinking probably they can email the files to you, things of that nature, but that's how you would do it.
Is there a place where you guys map out like the large scale developments when you have, over 100 homes in one area approved and things like that that have been platted or approved but are not yet in place that you can pull up and easily identify, especially with regards to this group who works on the retail side of things a lot and are looking for retail following rooftops and kind of projecting and trying to find commercial properties that are well located towards future development?
So let me think about how to answer that. So one thing, a lot of development that's going on right now, a lot of it is associated with planned developments, as you've probably noticed. That's, I would say, the majority of stuff that processes through the system, for large scale stuff or commercial scale stuff, is a lot of plan developments, and then you would use those tools that I just showed you. As far as subdivisions, if we're talking like residential, they're pretty quick to get into the system. So like I'm going to pan in right here. Oh, that one does have houses, but I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a lot. North River. Okay. Mindy says North River, Box and Wallow. Bear with me.
That's my area. I know they're putting some commercial out there. Is there a specific place out there? I know they're doing the North River subdivision out there with commercial following that. Is that sort of what you're looking for?
Yeah, I know, well, I think maybe part of what that other question was getting at is to try to figure out where the residential has been plotted and planned and announced, and then, where the retail and commercial opportunities are in close proximity.
So like, let's see, right here, you can see it's loading slowly. Let me turn off the zoning layer so you can see. But this right here is an example of that. You see it's pretty obvious that this is a residential, and if we turn on the zoning map, I think it was a PDMU maybe, and then we can use some of the tools that I've already shown you to see if we can figure out the plan development number. If it's really new, you might have to call in to get that number, but that's certainly how you can kind of figure out where the residential is going. They get it onto the GIS system pretty quick, especially residential, once it gets platted.
Hey, Mindy and Tracy, this is Melissa Harris. I have in the past used the concurrency maps that show the approved and pending housing and commercial developments. Is that still something that you guys update quarterly?
I'm honestly not sure of how frequently that we update this, but I do know it's pretty regularly. That is a great idea. There's so many different tools. to use, and that certainly is one of them. This is a good one too if you do have to call. Like, I don't see the numbers associated with it. Sometimes if we use the different tools, and we do, I think if we do that identify one, this one sometimes will yield a result as well. So there's so many different ways that you can try to do this. But then from that, then you can go to the clerk of the court, like I showed you guys, and you can punch in that information to get information with that. I'm actually curious. So I just recently worked on this project right here, this Imperial Lakes commercial. I'm just wondering how quickly this is updated. Yep. So this is a very recent one, and this would be one if we searched it through the records. This was approved initially with the Publix Plaza, and then this parcel right here was approved for a hotel. But just recently, probably about 2 months ago, well, a lot longer than 2 months ago, but 2 months ago, we took it to the Board of County Commissioners to have the use changed from a hotel to offices. So they're approved right now for 4 offices. They have a final site plan in for 2 of the 4. So that will be some available commercial property as well. But you would do the research the same way that we've already talked about. You go to the clerk of the court's website, punch in that PDC. This one's PDC 1604, and then get access to the site plans and zoning approvals associated with that.
I see a question, demographics.
Yeah, what specifically are you looking for?
It would be so nice to have instant demographics pop up on parcels and around, and I was hoping there are so many overlays. I thought maybe.
And and there may be. I don't know that there is. I don't know that it would fall under the land development one. Like Mindy pointed out, and neither one of us are by no means experts in every one of these things, but there's all kinds of different options, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but I encourage, if you have some free time, to start just clicking on them and then look at your data. You use it the same way. All the GIS maps work the same way. You click on your data, and there's all kinds of different layers that you can turn on and try.
Click on community service real quick. Okay. Yeah, she's going to load the layer, and then we'll show you the difference of the data tables that are there. So that might be more of some of the demographics you may be looking for, because the census is in there. And if you go down further, your zip codes, code enforcement, affordable housing, HOAs, neighborhood zones, school districts. So a lot of that may be in there, not maybe specific demographics you're looking for, but like, if you just click in the settings and go through different layers, and then in the data, you'll see a lot more information. So I kind of gave a high level, but definitely clicking through a lot of these, you can find some information.
Wow, I'm glad I asked. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked too, because I just learned something new. I haven't clicked on this one in a while, and they're constantly updating them. So even like the land development one, I'm going to switch back over to that. We just recently added like the water and sewer that Mindy was showing you, because you used to have to go to a separate map. You used to have to go to like a utilities map in order to get that information. So these are constantly being updated and added to, and the content is constantly being added or updated. So definitely spend some time and click around, because probably what you're looking for, somebody else was looking for. So then we decided to add a layer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Guys, we're pushing 10 minutes past our planned conclusion time of 12:30. I think we have time for one more question.
Okay. If I want to know the residential approved plan for 70 East beyond Lakewood Ranch, where should I go?
So you should do the exact same thing that we've kind of talked about. So you'd want to find where that is on the GIS map. You'd want to turn on the zoning. If it's out in Lakewood Ranch, it's probably a planned development. So then you'd use a couple different tools that we just practiced. So one would be you could turn on the concurrency project overlay. The other would be you could search by the zoning and see if you can find that planned development number. Then you'd go to the clerk of the court and you'd research it that way.
Awesome. So I would like to say thank you to our two presenters. On behalf of CREA, we appreciate your time and efforts very much, and we're thankful. We understand that the information that's been put together here and for us to go scratches the surface of the complete capability of the systems that you've introduced. And we know we weren't going to be able to get a doctorate degree in our hour learning, but we're hopeful that today's presentation has spurred some new knowledge for everybody that's on board, as well as and encourages you guys to take some time to learn the system a little bit better, and know that, you know, Mindy and folks are at the county and able and ready to assist you guys. I know that I want to say thank you also to John Barnott, who helped set up for us to be able to utilize the time, and so please communicate our thanks to him as you're leading a group that's responsive to our interests. We appreciate that. Next month, everybody, we've got a similar presentation coming with the differences in how Sarasota County operates. And that will be part one of a 4-part series that will happen outside of the general commercial meetings, or the general membership meetings, I mean, that they have a 3.5-hour kind of more in-depth study of how some of these more nuanced things go. And so we're excited about that and learning a little more about Sarasota County. And we just really appreciate everybody logging in. And the last thing that I wanted to cover, if you scroll back up to the beginning of your chat, I just want to remind everybody, I don't know if everybody can see, but today is voting day. And the Realtors Association Sarasota Manatee, RASM, highly encourages everyone to get out there and exercise your civic duty and vote your conscience. If you're not sure about some of the issues or thoughts, we do have, I put the RASM endorsed candidate sheets. Those are not drawn up or done via political lines per se, so much as they are questions that were asked of the candidates wherein they intersect with commercial real estate, private property rights, housing, those kinds of things that RASM specifically looks after. And based off of the answers to those questions, where applicable, they will endorse a candidate. And sometimes we don't endorse any candidate because nobody had anything different to say about the matters. But those endorsements are there. I highly encourage you to look at them if you haven't voted already. And if you haven't voted, please make time in your day to go out and vote. Again, thank you everyone for your efforts and time being here. And with that, I think we'll conclude the meeting.